Welcome to this week's edition of Coach's Corner with Heck and King every Monday night at 6:30 here at Bar Louie's in Granger. We are always looking for some more show sponsors. If you or somebody you know has a business to promote Coach's Corner, you can email John at broadcastsport.net to get info on how to become a sponsor. We're also on Instagram with all the cool kids at IND Coach's Corner. If you missed tonight's live show, catch us on demand on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and always here on broadcastsport.net. The show links can be found at linktree.com/Coach's Corner. Want to ask a question for these two slaps tonight? Well, very simple. You can either type it in the box on broadcastsport.net, or you can email John at broadcastsport.net, or you can also text a question to 574-366-2488. It's time now for this week's edition of Coach's Corner with Heck and King.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to be entertained by the Black Sedan Band. And I'm yours truly, Hoss Carl on the mic. I guarantee you, if you want to dance, we don't mind you doing it. We gonna have a good time. Hey, well, I'm the friendly stranger in the Black Sedan. I want you to hop inside my car.
Kevin Love to the Heat.
I'm a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. And by now I'm sure you know that I love you. I need you. I want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love. Hey, you know I
Hey. So happy to be with you today. Monday, President's Day. I mean, just a gorgeous day out there today.
Beautiful day. Who are the two presidents that we're celebrating? Does anybody know? Who are the two presidents in February? We used to get out of school both days.
Well,
Who are the two February
you have me there.
birthdays?
I mean, you have
I'm
me.
a history teacher, so I know.
Washington's
Washington's one of them.
Wasn't Lincoln, was it?
Civil War president. Yep.
Andrew Jackson.
One two before him.
Abraham Lincoln.
That's it.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Aye.
I learned in history
Lincoln
class.
and Washington.
Aye.
Okay, why is Washington High School down south called the Hatchets?
Because we do not chop cherry trees, and we cannot tell a lie.
There you go.
I was
See,
just.
you must have
No.
been awake that day in history class.
No. Here's what's kind of happened to me. As you know, I had some surgery.
Well, I was getting ready to ask how you feel. You are vertical.
Well, I'm doing better. Had a hernia surgery, and but I still have some of the anesthetic in me. So when you got some of the anesthetic in you, it makes you a little smarter.
There
That's
you go.
why I knew about the Hatchet
You were
House.
getting a little. You looked a little gray coming in here. I didn't know if it was the lighting or if it was the liver or the pancreas.
Well,
so
no.
You got some meds in you. Now it's the anesthetic.
No, it's the anesthetic, but I forgot about the fact that we have an elevator.
Oh, he walked up the
I
stairs.
walked up 27 stairs.
All right, so you had surgery Thursday, right?
Thursday, Thursday about
Friday,
noonish.
Saturday, Sunday, and here you are. If you had a game, could you have gone to practice today?
Hey, shoot me up. Just shoot
Give
me
me a
up.
shot.
Give me the shot, and I'm ready to go.
You know what? I mentioned that.
But I do have a bone to pick.
Okay.
But John's calling us. I thought we had this figured out.
That was scripted.
John was calling us slaps. I thought you can call me a slap.
Right.
I can call you a slap.
But that's where it stops.
We fight anybody else that wants to call us slaps.
Luckily, there's a table between us.
That's all right.
And I control everything, guys.
That's
I
all
can
right.
shut you down immediately.
John owns us, by the way. We can say what we want to say, but the truth is John owns us. So let's just go from there.
I am happy you're here because I thought I might have to be here by myself.
No, I wouldn't do that, man. I love this.
I'd be doing a Zoom or something from the hospital bed.
I love this show. No, well, I tried to get the doctor to Zoom on the operation, because then we could show it on the air here.
Oh, that would have been top 10.
He wouldn't do it. Well, he wouldn't do it.
I can't.
I mean, he wouldn't do it.
Well, he opened you up. He probably did they have somebody else's name on your liver? Did they have it stamped?
No, it was not. It was not stamped. It is no, it's not stamped.
I didn't know.
It's not stamped.
I didn't know.
I'm just answering
I
the
think,
question. It's not stamped.
like you put your name
No.
on the back of your underwear. I didn't
No.
know if they'd signed the guy's lever that they gave to you
No,
27 years ago.
they could have, but that's the question I have never asked.
I just was curious.
Never asked that.
They were in there.
They were in there though.
Yeah.
But I want to start this show because I think this is hilarious, actually. And again, welcome. If you have any questions, you want to text us. If you want to know how a hernia surgery goes down, you can text us and we can answer you. So if anybody out there wants to call us a slap, call us a slap. It doesn't really matter.
It's kind of open right now.
It's open. It's open. It's open for discussion. But so I'm doing some work today. I'm prepping and doing some things, and I come across the NBA All-Star Game is yesterday.
That's what I heard.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't either.
I mean, Team LeBron, Team Giannis.
I don't even know.
Those were the teams.
It didn't.
Team Giannis won 184 to 175. Jason Tatum threw in 55. But the head coach for Team LeBron was Michael Malone, and Michael Malone is the head coach of the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
And he has a really good team.
They're good.
Yes, no, they're really good.
They're the best in the West, I think, right now.
And this really caught me on his quote. He said that the All-Star Game was the worst basketball game he's ever been a part of. Now, you're talking about the NBA brand.
That's the All-Star, yes.
How does the head coach of one of the All-Star teams make that statement, and how does the NBA brand let that statement be made? And his comment was the effort that the players put out there from a defensive standpoint, from a passing standpoint, was absolutely ridiculous. And he said, plain and simple, the worst basketball game I've ever been a part of.
Well, if they scored that many points,
but
there
it's just
shouldn't have been any defense.
Then why have it?
Why have it?
I mean, this show is for you and me to debate things. Then why have it? So we've switched the NFL All-Star Game now. It's a flag football game, right?
Pro Bowl's a flag football with some skills tests.
Yeah. So
which is kind of fun.
Well, no, you and I could play in the flag football game, right?
Sure.
No, I could run an out pattern. You could throw me a pass, pull my flag.
Right.
But at least the NFL said, hey, the regular game was nothing. Was zip.
Right.
The only game or the only All-Star game that I think has any merit and has any reason to even watch it is the Major League Baseball All-Star game.
Well, and going back to football, when we were growing up, they used to have the college All-Star game. Remember, they had
Soldier Field.
Instead of having Canton Hall of Fame, instead of having the Hall of Fame game as an exhibition game, they had the previous year's seniors, like the Senior Bowl. They played back then it wasn't called the Super Bowl yet. It was the World Champs.
Yes.
And they played them. So you had the best team in the NFL playing the rookies that were coming into the NFL.
Yeah, and they always played
that
it.
game got to be a bad game. It was Soldier Field, right?
At Soldier Field.
Okay.
Yep.
And that game got so bad that they eventually said, okay, we got to get rid of that. And that's when they came up with the Hall of Fame game in Canton. And it was like exhibition game number 0.
Well, yeah. So the starters play maybe 4 plays, and then it's everybody else
And
getting
now it's
themselves on
evolved to
tape.
that, yes.
But the Major League Baseball All-Star Game has something tied to it because I believe and okay, this could be changed now, and don't hold me to it, but I know at least 2 years ago, whichever league won the All-Star Game in Major League Baseball was the home team for the World Series.
They got home. Yeah, they got Game 7 at home if it went 7 games.
So
that's a big deal.
Well, so there's something to play for, right?
Sure. And the only thing I could see in a negative, if the baseball All-Star Game eventually evolves into batting practice because the pitchers are afraid to pitch, because that's a rest day for them, for most of them. And it all involves the pitchers. If the pitchers decide they say, no, I don't want to play, I'm going to rest, and they start having to bring bullpen pitchers in that are throwing batting practice, then that's bad.
Well, they only pitch an inning.
Yeah.
They have enough pitchers,
right.
and they only pitch an inning. And for them, it's I'm throwing against the American League All-Stars, and I want them to see what I got. And I'm trying to strike out my 3 guys.
It's a whole different breed.
It's a whole different animal, actually.
It's where you can still show off a little bit. It'd be like having a bowling tournament, the best versus the best, or something like that.
Well, so no, I mean
where you're not going to get injured.
Well, hey,
that extra game or a golf outing.
Well, ask Ray Fossey if you're not going to get injured.
Well, good point.
Ask Ray Fossey because his whole career was derailed by one Mr.
Pete Rose.
Mr. Pete Rose going head first into him at the plate.
Yeah.
I mean, to score the winning run in an All-Star game.
And it didn't matter.
It didn't matter
back then because
it didn't matter.
Those same values.
And Ray Fossey would say to this day, it's baseball.
It's baseball.
It's baseball. That's Pete Rose.
Yeah.
That's Pete Rose, and I expect nothing less.
And Pete Rose, that was probably why high schools and colleges don't let you run over the catcher anymore.
That's
when they changed that rule. Where high schools now you have to slide feet first. It's mandatory. You can't run over the catcher.
Yep. Russell Westbrook is 33 now. He was the king of double-doubles. He's shooting 29% from the three-point line. He gets traded to the Jazz. The Jazz buy him out. Nobody really wants him.
Nobody wants him right now.
And so the Clippers sign him
today.
And the Clippers sign him. So there's a big three with Kawhi Leonard, with Paul George, and now Russell Westbrook. But they're talking about it's the same deal with Russ and Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
These same guys are getting recycled. They were all with the Nets. You got Kyrie Irving ends up with the Mavs. They got three of them with the Nets, so that didn't work. So one goes to the Mavs, now the other one goes to the Clippers, and they leave Harden in Brooklyn.
Well, no, Harden is not in Brooklyn, but Kevin Durant is now with the Suns.
That's right, Durant's with the Suns, and then you said today also that Kevin Love
got bought out by
Cleveland.
And he's with the Heat.
He's going to Miami.
So,
but those are all recycled names that are, like you said, guys that are 30-year-old plus, trying to finish their careers and catch on, still thinking they're 22, 23, and they don't have the same value to the teams as they did 10 years ago.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. I couldn't agree with you more. NFL not for long. Obviously, we're wrapping that up with a lot of hires, a lot of people moving. So explain this one to me. Explain why Eric Bieniemy, who's the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, has had 100 interviews for a head coaching job, can't get a head coaching job. He leaves, and he takes the OC job with the Washington Commanders.
He goes from the Chiefs
to the Commanders.
The only thing I can think of is he will have more power to make calls. It still sounds like he was in Andy Reid's shadows, is what people have been saying. And again, that's just hearsay. We can't figure that out. Kansas City's offense is awful good. Of course, they have a pretty good quarterback. But was that offense because of him, or was it Andy Reid, or was it a combination of the two? That's the questions. But I think what it's going to happen is going to give him a chance to be his own person now
and run his own offense.
And of course, you still get. I hate it because you still get the racial stuff about why can't this black coach get a head coaching job? What's going on? And I don't have the answer. I wish there would be a time when they'd quit worrying about who's white, who's black, and can you just coach? Because they're finding out once they get to be head coaches, no matter if you're white or black, if you don't win, you're still going to get fired.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think there's any question. But to your point, it is that he will step away from Andy Reid's shadow. Now, it'll be his offense totally, and it'll be a deal where he's either going to succeed or he's going to fail.
The problem he's got going to Washington is there's nobody named Patrick Mahomes there named quarterback.
That is a real problem.
Find him a quarterback.
We
mentioned in the previous episodes that all quarterbacks go to Washington to die, didn't we?
His quarterback is going to be Sam Howell, the quarterback from North Carolina, I believe, who will be a second-year player next year.
That's a good young quarterback. Maybe they can grow together.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Rex Ryan going to the Denver Broncos.
Is that a done deal yet?
Well, I think it is, but it's not.
They were talking today, all the important guys on TV were talking about, is that going to help or hurt the quarterback situation in Denver?
Well,
is that going to help Wilson? Give him some, more leverage on the field. He'll have the ball more often because he'll have a better defense.
Rex Ryan is Rex Ryan is a figure.
Yes. He is a personality.
He is a personality. His father, the legendary Buddy Ryan.
Yeah, he inherited some
great
pretty
coach.
good genes as far as the coaching.
Great coach. So, I wanted just to maybe touch base on those two items at 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, we're going to talk to Jeff Hecklinski, retired college football coach, and maybe talk to him about some of the stuff that has happened at Notre Dame relative to buyouts and things like that, and then maybe some NIL info. And if he thinks that at some point in time the NCAA will be a null and moot point because it won't be needed anymore, the NC2A.
Because all their rules, and this time last week we were sitting right here at this table talking about who the new offensive coordinator was going to be at Notre Dame, assuming it was a done deal. It was going to be the coordinator from Utah. There'd been a sighting of him. They'd paraded him around the hockey game and had him at the hockey game, and all of a sudden he's going back to Utah, and they had to bring somebody else, and we're just wondering what kind of buyout did he have at Utah. Could Notre Dame not afford it or choose not to pay it?
He had a $2.9 million buyout. And one of the questions that I want to pose to Jeff is how many coaches actually have buyouts? Because obviously Tommy Rees didn't have a buyout.
Yeah.
I mean, when Tommy Rees went to Alabama, it was just a straight-up deal. There was no buyout.
Right.
Hey, so you guys, and by you guys I mean you and John, you all did some girls semi-states this weekend.
We did.
Talk about maybe some of those girls semi-states that you did, and one in particular that I know, and maybe it didn't shock the state. I mean, maybe it didn't shock the state because one of the Reynolds girls was out, was hurt, the senior, the really, really good player. But I still think at the end of the day, when the scores came across the wire, that the 4A semi-state was shocked.
I totally agree. I was over at Huntington, and I saw a very good Fishers team have a good game with Fort Wayne Snyder in the first game. It ended up being a 1-point game. Snyder led most of the half, and then third quarter, Fishers just started whittling away and took the lead, and the lead was 3, then it was 5, then it was 9. And then Snyder played catch-up. The lead was actually 10 with a minute to go in game 1 with Snyder and Fishers. And Snyder whittled it down and got it down to 2, fouled. Fishers made 2 free throws with like 4 or 5 seconds left, and it was over. And then Snyder came down and hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer to make it a 1-point game at the end. And then the second game, Lake Central came in and just totally dominated South Bend, Washington, the number 1 team in the state. Undefeated, had won 33 games in a row, I think, going back to last year. Washington had moved up to 4A, and everybody's thinking, okay, they're just going to railroad their way through here. And then the oldest Reynolds girl gets hurt, tears up her foot, has surgery on her foot, and people are talking about her being Miss Basketball. I mean, she's at 15 a game, 10 or 11 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, she controlled the team. She was a 4-year starter, has already signed to go to Maryland to play with her sister. So here's a girl that's going to play Big Ten basketball, and she's sitting on the sidelines in crutches and her foot in a boot, from surgery 10 days earlier. So now you have a Washington team out there with Rashonda Jones.
Yeah.
She's going to Purdue, 5'8" guard. Okay, can she take over? Because she's going to be she was the only senior on the court. She was out
for
there
both teams.
Both teams. She was out there. Now Washington has 1 senior, and the rest are freshmen and sophomores. They have no juniors, and it showed. It finally came through. 2 weeks ago, we had some warning signs over there when they played Valpo, when they got behind and had to scramble to catch up and win. Well, this time they got behind 15-16 in the second quarter. They couldn't catch up in the second half. And they ended
so obviously, the older Reynolds girl being out was the story.
She is the difference maker. She is the story. And I think one of the things that will do, if the media would figure this out, she should be. That just proves why she should be Miss Basketball. I would think them losing the way they lost should be a big poster saying that's why she's Miss Basketball, because she's that good. There's other girls that are good in the state, but she controls the outcome of 33 previous games. and all of a sudden she can't.
And so Lake Central, coached by the
Central,
great Joe Huppenthal.
Joe Huppenthal, who had been at East Chicago in the 90s, came here to South Bend, 15 years, coached the boys at Clay, goes back to Lake Central, and he's got a team that has no seniors. He's got a team that's all sophomores and juniors, and they were very well disciplined. The scouting report was so spot on. That's what I was so impressed with. The scouting report he had against Washington, the scouting report he had the previous week against Valpo was a college-level scouting report. I mean, and the girls did it. You could just see the scouting report was there both at the offensive end and the defensive end. And then they get to the night game, and they're out of gas. And they get beat 20 by Fishers. Now, Fishers is the real deal. They, in their sectional, if you think about it, they beat number 2, 3, and 4. They come up. Then they go to Homestead and roll Homestead by 30 last week. Now they come in here and beat they beat the team that beats number 1. So Fishers is the highest team standing, and they'll go to Indianapolis next week, and they're going to play, Bedford North Lawrence, who's the next. I think it's number 5 versus number 6 in the last poll. So that's where we stand on the 4A
Here's
game.
the next question for Bedford, though. Is there
a Bailey on the
another
team?
Damon Bailey child on the team,
I think there is a Bailey on the team.
He has a daughter on that team.
There's a daughter
yes.
on the team.
Yes.
There is a Bailey.
Damon has a son that plays at St. Francis College or St. Francis University in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, okay.
So there is Damon does have a daughter. What about the 3A then?
John saw the 3A, so I'm going to turn things over to you.
Well, we had a great 3A over at LaPorte the other day. Obviously, you had undefeated Twin Lakes. They've been number 1 all year. They were beating teams very convincingly, and they had some tough times with Hamilton Heights. They got down double digits in the second quarter, but made some adjustments at halftime, came out and obviously took care of business in the second half and sneaked off a very good Hamilton Heights team. And what I thought was interesting in that game, here are 2 teams that are in the same conference, both in the Hoosier, but they don't play each other in the regular season because that conference is divided in the East and the West.
It's such a big conference,
It's
right?
such a big conference. So they had not played. They hadn't played forever. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years since they even played, and they're in the same conference. But a great game with Twin Lakes and Hamilton Heights. The second game was Fairfield and Tippy Valley, and Fairfield really showed why they are in the top 5 in the state. They have got length, and I'm not talking in the post position. I'm talking out at the guard position. That Brea Garber, you got a 6-foot guard out there with some length. And she really was able to control the game, threw in 26 against not Twin Lakes, but Hamilton or Tippy Valley, in the morning game. They come back in the night game. They're facing Twin Lakes. Nobody gives them a shot because here's Twin Lakes are undefeated. They've got some really good. They settle for the 3 an awful lot. And they got behind in that game, too. They got down double digits to Twin Lakes, and they called timeout, made some adjustments at the half, and then they got into a tempo game. They wanted to play tempo. Twin Lakes wanted to play a lot of half-court, slow down type of thing. And remember, Fairfield is the number 1 team defensively in the state. Going into the semi-state, they were only allowing 27.8 points a game. And that's gone up a little bit with a couple of games in the semi-state, but they're very good defensively. They can score the basketball. They've got another guard, Bailey Willard, who can step out and shoot the 3. They were able to control the Scone girl, the transfer from Rochester to Tippy Valley. Marion couldn't do that a week ago, had no answer. They held her to 2 points in that semifinal game. So Fairfield's playing for their first ever state title, and it was a big win for the Falcons. And they're going to have their hands full with a very good Corydon Central team.
They played Corydon, who won down at Jasper, didn't they?
They won down at Jasper. That should be an interesting game, though. That's about a 2-4-point game there as well. So that should be a lot of fun.
And we're talking about we're going to do that game. Is that right?
We're going to do the 1A game with Bethany Christian, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we're going to do the 3A game for sure with Corydon Central and Fairfield on Saturday night down at the
What about the 2A game?
Well, we can talk about 2A a little bit, just from what we know. We're talking about we're hoping to do the Lapel game. Last year, Frankton is in the finals, and they lose to Forest Park in the finals. Well, now the other half of that school corporation, Lapel, is in the finals. And I don't know this for sure, but think how many Anderson people are on those teams from the west side. How many Edgewood kids are from my neighborhood where I grew up are in Lapel, and how many North Anderson kids are up at Frankton?
Lapel, Frankton, Pendleton Heights, and maybe Shenandoah a little bit.
Daleville baseball.
Daleville, all of those schools got richer when Anderson consolidated. And the Highland students didn't want to be paired up with the Anderson students. The Madison Heights people went out to LaPel. So they all got rich because of Anderson. And now Anderson is fighting its way back, too.
Yes, they are. Finally, they're getting their way back. But LaPel beat LCC.
Yes.
In the night game, which I think was a surprise for everybody. LCC and Central Noble were the big two. And LaPel was probably the fourth team in that bracket.
They're one of the worst teams with a record-wise playing in the state finals this weekend with 7 losses.
Yes, and then so they'll play Forest Park, who won at Shelbyville. They beat North Knox in the Shelbyville semistate. So the 2A game, which will be around 12:30 or so, is going to be LaPel and defending champ Forest Park. And we're still working on sponsors. We may end up doing that game too. And what the reason we're mentioning that, there's not very many radio stations that are doing the girls' state finals. Everybody's kind of just said, the IHSA TV, do the pay-per-view, or you're going to have to just read about it in the paper the next morning.
Well, they don't know about broadcast sport.
We're still
I'm just saying, right?
We're going to do the audio only, but you can watch it and you can listen to us as well. And, with us having some inside information, you and I've still got some connections down there in the LaPel, Anderson, Franklin area.
Jimmy Jack Howell, man. Jimmy Jack Howell won a couple state championships
at
LaPel.
And you said they've got a girl named Stowe that's on the team. And
she's one of their starters.
Yeah, so we've got that. And then the 1A, Bethany Christian.
Who would have thunk? They beat number 4 and number 5 to win a semi-state.
Yeah, and that's just a little private school up here. It's connected with Goshen College.
Yep. Yeah, but 22-3 now. Come on, they're good, right?
They're good. They won the Hoosier Plains, and that's saying something.
22-3.
Yeah, and they beat Washington Township, and then they beat number 1 Tri.
Yep.
And it was funny in yesterday's thing. You've got Tri-County, you got Tri, you got Tri-Central, you got Tri-Township. Bob Lovell and those guys were just having a heck of a time figuring out who was who.
You got Triton.
Triton.
Yeah.
There's too many threes in there.
Yes, there is.
They're going to have to change names, but this is Tri, which is down by Newcastle.
And they play Lanesville.
Yeah.
This is so this will be the biggest thing in Lanesville history.
Yeah.
Of the town.
What's the guy, Indianapolis? What's his name? Reskow? What's the TV guy's name? I'm
Greg Rakestraw.
Yeah, I'm
he's a proud alum. Yeah, it's Rakestraw. He's a proud alum of Lanesville.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lanesville is, I think the slow down and speed up signs are on the same sign, aren't they? It says speed zone on one side and resume on the other side of the same sign.
I mean, Rake is listening tonight.
Okay.
Stop.
I'm sure he is.
Is there a blinker in the town? Do they have a blinker, or do they just does it slow down to 35? I don't even know. I've never been to Lanesville. I've been in the area.
All right, so guess what happens when I got a cough or I laugh? Or I laugh.
It hurts.
Make me laugh.
It hurts.
Okay, don't make me laugh.
Okay. So it hurts. It's like you're going to pop a stitch. Anyways, man. Bethany Christian and Lanesville. We're going to do that game 10:30 Saturday morning.
Yes, we have a couple of fine sponsors and maybe a couple more, but we do want to thank our sponsors that have got on board for both Bethany Christian and Fairfield. And if you are listening or watching tonight in that LaPel, Anderson, Elwood area, we have some sponsorships are available for that. You can just email me at john@broadcastsport.net. I'll be glad to give you some more information.
Yeah.
So keeping with girls basketball, Dawn Staley, the head coach at South Carolina, ranked number 1 in the country, 27-0. They got every first place vote except IU got 1 vote. But here's a quote by Dawn Staley, and I think this is really cool. Problem is, y'all got league dreams with a backyard work ethic, and your parents applaud it.
The parents applaud it.
How about that? How about that?
She just put it out there, didn't she?
No, you got league dreams. You want to win the league. You want to be a champion. You want to be this. You want to do that. But your work ethic is backyard.
Yeah.
And your parents say that's good enough.
How little league does that? I mean,
well, that's
what it amounts to.
That's the number one. That coach has the number 1 girls team in the country, and she has a pulpit from which to speak.
Yes.
And I mean, God bless her for saying that, to be honest with you.
Between her and Gino, I tell you, Gino's so right up front as well, too. He just tells those girls, I'm looking at attitude. I do not have to coach conditioning. I don't have to coach attitude. He says, if you don't bring that, then I'll find somebody that has it.
And he will.
And he has.
And hey, John, why don't you take us to some of our what
sponsors?
How about some sponsors?
How about some sponsors? And then we'll get the great Jeff Hecklinski online, and we'll get this interview rolling.
Great.
You are watching Coach's Corner here on broadcastsport.net. Again, if you have a question, you can always email me at john@broadcastsport.net, or you can text a question to 574-366-2488. You are watching Coach's Corner here on broadcastsport.net.
Frick's Driving School has been named the best driving school in Michiana. Frick's was started in 1960 and is located on Edison Road in Mishawaka. If your child is 15, you can get them started at Frick's. There are multiple instructions available for your driving lessons. Check out the broadcastsport.net main page and click on the Frick's icon to get more information. There you can find out more information and instructions to enroll your new driver. Frick's Driving School, a proud sponsor of Coach's Corner on broadcastsport.net. Southern Knit Studio is a proud sponsor of Coach's Corner on broadcastsport.net. Southern Knit Studio is located in Nashville, Tennessee, which makes custom handmade chunky knit blankets. They come in 3 sizes and various colors for your living room or den. Stephanie's Esty Shop offers online shipping and ships anywhere in the country. If you need a great gift idea for any holiday, including birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, check out Southern Knit Studio. You can find more by clicking on the link at the www.broadcastsport.net page. Jackson's Cigar Bar is located in the 100 Center in Mishawaka. Jackson's is the only place in our area offering a gourmet cigar and alcoholic drink. Jackson's has a full bar along with a 1,200 square foot patio for your enjoyment. Jackson's is open Wednesday through Sunday 4 to midnight. Jackson's also has plenty of TVs to watch your favorite game while enjoying your cigar and drink. That's Jackson's Cigar Bar located in the 100 Center in Mishawaka, a proud sponsor of Coach's Corner on broadcastsport.net.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner here on broadcastsport.net. Other ways, of course, you can find us are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and always here on broadcastsport.net.
All right, we are back on Coach's Corner with Ron Hecklinski and Patrick King. Our guest today is a great college football coach. Just happened to be my nephew, the great Jeff Hecklinski. Jeff, how are you today, man?
Get him turned up, but turn yours up a little bit.
You good? Hey, Jeff, how you doing, man? You good?
You have him on speaker, Coach?
Yeah.
Maybe the volume needs to come up a little bit.
You good, Jeff? We got you?
Yeah, you got me?
There we go.
We got you, man. Hey, did that music sound like you might know that music by any chance?
I wasn't listening or paying attention. I seem to be caught up in the business world these days. That's why I was answering emails.
Well,
so I was finishing up an email.
So I got to tell you, that is Donnie's band playing that bumper music for us, and the Black Sedan is an outstanding band. I don't know if you ever heard them, but they're really, really good, man.
I have heard them. I heard them live on Facebook during COVID.
Yeah, no.
They played in that in the driveway.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. So talk to me. Tell me how the guy who's coached football his whole life, and now who's retired from coaching college football. How's that lifestyle going for you, man?
I'll tell you what. Being the general manager of a soon-to-be publicly traded company is it's time-consuming, just as time-consuming as being a coach, just as stressful, and just a little bit geared in different directions at times, but still being involved in it because we're still involved in football. We do baseball, softball. We're building out basketball and soccer right now. So, really involved in a lot of kids and families' lives, which is, what we want to do when we coach.
And that company is called Signing Day Sports, right?
Signing Day Sports, yes, sir. We're basically the newest high-tech educational recruiting platform on the market. And so we video verify everything that takes place for a player, educate them on how to get their information out to coaches and how to communicate with coaches, and really put the process back into their hands of the recruiting side, and so people aren't waiting, and that's what's happening today. Everybody's waiting to be recruited, but you can't. You have to take it into your own hands, and you have to know what information to get to coaches. You know this. I mean, being a coach, you know what you're looking for, and if you don't get the right information, you move on to somebody who's giving you the right information.
Yeah, and that's right up your alley, being the recruiting coordinator at the University of Michigan, recruiting coordinator, I believe, at San Diego State, and a couple other spots that you coached at. So, I mean, that's right up your alley.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, that's really where my passion has always been, in the recruiting part of it, and helping kids and families. And, you know, now I don't just get to do it for one university or, 10, 11, 12 kids. Now I get to do it for people really worldwide. I mean, we were just in Mexico and ran a American football combine in Mexico, and was at a quarterback combine called Quarterback Universe with Chris Hickson, running a combine there this weekend also. So, we're really becoming international and doing multiple things throughout the course of every weekend.
Hey, tell me, Fernando Valenzuela doesn't have a kid who's a quarterback down in Mexico, right?
I'll tell you what, there were some good players down there, and very passionate about American football, and it's really a growing sport down there. It's a lot of fun to be around. Very, very energetic and enthusiastic people about American football, so it was fun to be around.
Hey, back to your passion, football. I mean, Notre Dame kind of has a little bit of a snafu now. They want to hire Andy Ludwig as their OC. Andy Ludwig has about a $2.9 million buyout. I mean, they parade Andy Ludwig in front of the cameras at the Notre Dame hockey game, and then his buyout comes out, and obviously they don't want to pay that. Talk about how many coaches actually, I mean, like coordinators, maybe assistant coaches, actually have buyouts at that level.
Oh, a lot. I mean, I had a buyout at Kansas.
Really?
And I was a recruiting coordinator, tight end coach. And so, it's a way to lock people in. It's designed to do exactly what just happened. I didn't realize it went that far with him. I'm kind of out of that world right now. But that's exactly what it's designed to do. And, those are the decisions that are being made based on, financials and what it's going to take in order to get the people that they want to get.
So
it definitely causes a lot of discussions, and now you couple that with NIL money, with players and everything that's going on there. It's just there's a lot of money exchanging hands right now, and creating a lot of different discussions that are happening in situations just like that.
The day of the Super Bowl, Notre Dame announces that Harry Houston is going to retire because Coach Ludwig is going to bring his offensive line guy with him, and he's got a $900,000 buyout, and then Notre Dame decides. Either Notre Dame decides this, or Coach Ludwig decides not to come to Notre Dame, but the brand of Notre Dame is kind of knocked around a little bit because they don't decide to buy the buyout. It's going around that the Notre Dame is cheap. They don't want to pay 2.9 plus another 900 for the offensive line coach. I mean, that stuff really, really gets complicated, doesn't it?
It does, and to put everybody's mind at ease, you don't know what those conversations are. You don't know if that happened on Notre Dame's side or Utah's side stepped up to the plate and said, hey, this is real. We don't want to lose both of you. You guys are vital to our success and everything that's happened over the past 2 or 3 years. Let's talk about extending your contract on our side of it. So you just don't know where the reality lies. And so that's where I don't think it's fair to say that it was all on something like that's all on Notre Dame, because you don't know what happened on the side of Utah in order to maybe make Andy Ludwig and his offensive line pivot and go back to Utah. That's the leverage that's created in this on both sides, and nobody's going to report the true facts of it all. It's just it happens. Notre Dame pivots and moves in the direction that they move in, and Utah, whatever took place, pivoted and moved in the direction they needed to move in.
No, so that is why we bring the great Jeff Hecklinski on here to have our listeners hear this. Oh, come on, man.
I'm just another squirrel in the world. You know that.
Well, no. So let's talk about this for a minute, man. I go to Ball State as a basketball guy, you know, a young coach, and we win games and blah, blah, blah. You go to Ball State as a football coach. You arguably have the best football season in the school history. You guys do great things. Then we got another little heck who's just moved up to the recruiting coordinator at Ball State now, right?
Right.
That's
right.
a no.
I
That's
talked to you last week, by the way.
really. How's he doing?
He's doing good. He's doing really good. You know, I tell you, it's a different world out there being those recruiting coordinators right now. I don't envy any of those guys with everything they're going through with NIL and all the stuff that they're having with the transfer portal and roster management, COVID countbacks. I tell you, those guys, you know, but the good thing is Joe's smart, he's intelligent, he's patient, and he'll think his way through it, and that's what you need to be.
Talk about the NIL to our listeners a little bit and how that varies from school to school, maybe from conference to conference. I mean, we all know about the Alabamas, the SECs. We know about Tennessee and Hendon Hooker getting in a fight before one of the games because one of them was making more NIL money. Are the NIL monies, are those available at MAC schools, at SEC schools, or talk about that for a minute?
I think it all depends. One, first off, I would put, you know, I know that everything was reported through that Tennessee deal. And, you know, I caution people to be quick to judge on all that stuff because you really don't know the truth. The only people that know the truth are those that are in the locker room. And you know, there's a lot going on right now in this world that, you know, creates a lot of conversations that can be positive or negative. NIL is available to anybody who wants it, but now the school has to support it. So obviously schools like Tennessee and Alabama and the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Pac-12, they have the funds to be able to support it. And you know, obviously the boosters and the collectives, they're called collectives, to be able to fund that. Schools in the MAC and the non-Power 5 schools, they have the ability to create those collectives. It's just a matter of if the boosters and the alumni and the people that are involved in the program want to create that, put that type of money into the program. And so, you know, there's a big, huge variation in all that stuff going on right now.
Let me ask you this question.
It's created a divide, but, you know, I think everything will correct itself as things move forward, and it'll be just interesting to see what happens over the course of the next 3 to 5 years.
Let me ask you this question. Do we even need the NCAA anymore?
That's not a question for me. That's not a question for me. I can tell you this. The honest answer is, I think the initial intent of where everything was supposed to happen was to be able to take care of the players who are playing for the teams and the universities and winning the games. And for those players that earned the right to gain money. I think it was taken, because it was opened up, it was taken completely out of context into the recruiting world, and that's where now you've seen the divide happen. These major collectives happening now.
I will say,
you know, that's really where the correction needs to happen. Not anything with the current players. I'm all for every current player. You help your program win, and you put your program in the national spotlight. Hey, you deserve everything that you're getting.
So I want to say this. You've coached for a lot of years. You've made a lot of stops. Your family's been right by your side. Your wife is just an incredible coach's wife. You've touched a lot of young men's lives, whether it be at Indiana State, whether it be at Michigan, whether it be San Diego State, or some of the other places you were. I want to congratulate you on a great career and wish you nothing but the best in this next portion of your athletic endeavors. And I want to say this much: go Cubs, man.
Well, hopefully, two things. Hopefully we get to be involved in a lot more families and athletes' lives in helping them achieve their dreams and goals. And secondly, they made enough moves that they should be at the top of the NL Central. So I'm looking forward to a great year at Wrigley. And I'm looking forward to enjoying a great year at Wrigley, because usually I'm on the road and in football when all that's going on. So now I get a chance to watch them.
July 8th, man. We have a wedding to go to July 8th. We need to see if the Cubbies are playing big
There
boy.
you go. Yes, we will be there. We'll find a way to get there. You know that.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. You're the best, man.
All right, Ron. Love you, bud.
All right, love you too.
Talk
See
to
you.
you later.
That is the great Jeff Hecklinski, and he was very, very informative for us.
Very informative. He sure was.
And, I mean, straight up saying that's not him for answer, whether he thinks the NCAA ought to be deep sixth or not.
And
but-
he knows that. See, because he's been there.
I mean, that's been his business.
Yeah, that's been his business. And the thing that if he would have had time, he probably could have said something like what we're thinking, the Power Five in football, they don't need the NCAA anymore. But the smaller schools, the non-Power Fives, the MACs, Missouri Valleys, American Conference, whatever it might be, there still needs to be some control on the NILs. And is it going to be conference control? Because I can think back in the 80s when I was down in Dallas, think about what SMU did. I mean, they had all that NIL money
Well,
going on.
no, it was
and
the Wild
behind
Wild
this-
West.
Oh, sure it was.
It was a Wild Wild
mean,
West, and they were doing it, but it wasn't sanctioned.
It wasn't sanctioned. So everything they did is now legal. You know, when they got Dickerson and James, and I mean, they were filling Texas Stadium.
I thought it was really interesting how Jeff was on the side of the players, and I think he's right from that standpoint because the players are putting 100,000 people in the seats at Michigan.
Sure.
Now, for many, many years, they were getting what they called, and you probably got this at Butler, laundry money.
Yes.
You got $25 a week, for laundry money. And, you put all those fans in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
You made millions for the university. Now it's just an opportunity for the players to maybe get some of that money back.
Well, that's one of the things I was been trying to get hold of Jimmy up in Ann Arbor and say, and my question to him would be, Jimmy, Fab Five, early 90s.
He ain't going to tell you.
I said, I would have said, think about what could have happened if you guys would have had NIL money. And I can guarantee he would tell you that all 5 of them would have stayed all 4 years.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's any question about that because they're getting paid.
They're getting paid.
And it was the card dealer, Martin, who
And
was the money guy.
And a lot of that actually happened after they left.
Yeah, without
That was the
question.
next generation of players. That was not their group because I can tell you for a fact how much Taco Bell and KFC those guys ate in the evenings for dinner and peanut butter and jelly because I saw it. They did not have. If they were getting money, I never saw it. I never saw the evidence of it.
They were eating the evidence. They were eating it.
The only thing they were getting, they had Taco Bell everywhere. But that's because that's all they could afford.
Well,
It's either that or the dorm.
No, you can open up a whole.
And they didn't
can
have
of-
the training tables that they have now.
You can open up a whole can of worms
I
about this
know.
because Seth Davis wrote a book on John Wooden, and it was a tell-all book. All the books on Coach Wooden have been pro Coach Wooden and everything. And Seth Davis came out with a book that told it all. And the supporter during John Wooden's days was a guy named Sam Cook, and he was the money guy in town, and Sidney Wicks and Curtis Rowe. And you go in the parking lot, and they all got dots and Z's. Now, you tell me where those guys from California had the money to get that. And John Wooden just turned his head enough to say, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. But
even in the 60s, how in the world did Michael Warren from South Bend Central end up in Los Angeles playing for UCLA?
Well, he already knew he was going to star on the Hill Street Blues. All right. So let me ask you two guys if you know this. The great show, the Hill Street Blues, right?
Right.
What was the line they said when they were getting ready to leave their squad meeting to start the show?
Be
You guys got you.
It was like be safe out there or something like that.
Just say I don't know.
Well,
I
don't
remember that.
remember.
I watched that show a lot.
Let's get them before they get us.
Yes,
There you go.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
There you go. Hey, John, give me a question.
Get some
John.
questions for us.
All right. One of these deals with an NIC decision that just came down today. A lot of people questioning what happened with that Riley-Washington game back earlier in the month when they had the brawl at halftime. The NIC Board of Control has decided to call that a no contest. Riley and Washington are now co-champs of the North-South Division. Penn is the overall. What do you guys think about those two rivals not playing and now both crowned as the division champion?
I'll go first here, Pat. I don't like that decision at all. If they weren't going to play the game at Washington, maybe they could have picked an arbitrary site and said, "Hey, we got 16 more minutes. Let's play this game," because there are conference implications.
Yeah,
if there weren't complicated, if there weren't implications, fine, right?
I'm not going to argue with you. That's the problem. I'm supposed to argue with you. I got to tell you, I'm not.
When have you ever argued with me?
Every once in a while, about East Side, West Side, maybe. But this, I think, is totally wrong. One, being an old timer from South Bend now, I can't tell you how many times we had snow outs. We had a game snowed out, and we didn't play it, but we played it somewhere down the line, whether it was important or not. It was a conference game. You had to play conference games. And if you get Greg Humnick, he'll fight you on this one because he's ready to spit.
Yeah, I've talked to him for a couple of days.
Because
he's not happy.
The old timers, and at this point, maybe in our 15 years in the NIC, I think it's totally wrong. I don't care what these people think. I don't work for them anymore. I'm just telling them they're wrong.
I love it.
Because
I love it when you get on a roll, man.
Because you start to get me on a rant.
I love it.
But the thing is, it's for first place. The winner is
I
first
agree.
and the loser is second.
So
let's give everybody a darn trophy.
So that's where we are, right?
Yeah, let's get 2 trophies. We'll be co-champs of the whatever league division
North,
that
South,
is.
yeah.
We can't beat Penn anyway.
And you can put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah, and you
Buy
get
a t-shirt.
And hang a banner. Yeah.
And you got 2 schools that are happy. So now they can go out and recruit the same players and say, "Look, we were division champs." And so because you didn't play each other.
And I get if it's a safety issue, if they say that, then don't allow fans in the gym.
Yeah, play the game
Play it at Clay and don't allow fans in the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Or go play at the Charles Black Center or something. Don't let anybody in.
But play the game and get a champion and do it the right way.
Yeah, don't get us. Yeah, you got to start
All
on
right,
that
all
one.
right, all right. You got us on a rant now. Now keep us rolling. Give me another question.
All right.
Give us something we can disagree on.
We'll see. This comes from Leslie in Denver, Colorado.
Oh my!
Where do the
Why isn't she out skiing?
What? Get Leslie on the horn. Find out why she ain't skiing.
Give me your phone number.
She should be on the ski slopes.
Where do the Cubs finish in the NL Central this year? She's a diehard Cubs fan.
You know I got this.
How much time do we have?
We're down to 7 minutes.
I'm spending 2 minutes on this.
Wait a minute.
They made a lot of moves.
Get that timer going.
Get the timer going. They made a lot of moves. David Ross is really good. They got a little pitching. They signed a great shortstop. They're strong up the middle. Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson. They got Cody Bellinger in center field. They got Tucker Barnhart, the catcher from Brownsburg, who's a former Gold Glover. They're strong up the middle. I like their chances. They spent some money this year. They got money. Spend some money.
It's been 10 years since they spent money.
Well, not really, because they won the World Series in 2016.
That was close.
And so they
7
spent
years.
Money. They spent money then. But, yeah, no, I think they're going to be fun to watch. And plus, their farm system is very, very healthy. They have very good young players. So it's a win-win for the Cubbies. You're going to play your young players. You're going to let them develop. You bought some players to get you through this. You might be good enough to win, and it's going to be a great summer. It's going to be a great summer at Wrigley. The Hex are going to be at Wrigley, and if you can't go to Wrigley, are you kidding me? Go watch the South Bend Cubs. It's like the next best thing going.
Yep.
All right, give us your last one.
Our
man.
last question. This is a question about.
And Leslie, get out on the slopes, man.
Exactly. This is about the girls and boys basketball tournament. The format change. Is this a money grab for the IHSAA?
No.
Okay. This comes from Mike in Lafayette, by the way. No?
They're trying to create more interest. I think what they did, I really think, is a good thing, and I think eventually what's going to happen is it's going to go down to 3 weeks. I think they're eventually going to combine the regional and the state finals. I think you're going to have, just like the colleges do, you're going to have a 3-week tournament, and it may even stretch into a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or they may do what they do with the volleyball and some of the other sports where they go to different locations for the Friday night semifinals and then play the finals on Saturday all day. You know, where that, say Friday, you have the 1A at Southport, you have the 2A at Ben Davis, you have the 3A at Lawrence Central, and whatever else.
Maybe we break the Wigwam open for one of those.
Well, they should. But they go to Newcastle, they could play.
So you're saying that this is not financially motivated at all? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking
I say I don't think it is.
I do, but that's just my opinion.
Well, that's okay. I don't think it is because I think they've got plenty of sponsorship money with the Pacers and Farm Bureau, and I think they're just trying to create more interest in that third week of the season. Is my whole argument on that one.
So why do you think it's financially motivated?
Well, I think because they can charge more money, and if you guys have noticed, they have upped the prices for people to go. And here's a good example. When we were over at LaPorte on Saturday, one of those teams that lost in the morning game, they're standing outside LaPorte High School trying to get rid of their evening tickets because they bought the ticket for the whole game.
They bought a season pass and they got beat.
And they got beat, so they're wasting their money.
But we used to do that all the time when we were growing up.
We did do that.
We did that all the time. When we grew up in Anderson,
we're selling tickets.
The people would go to Frankton and buy season tickets, so they guaranteed they'd get a sectional ticket or Lapel, and they do that. And the high school kids at Lapel and Frankton and Ellick, they would buy a sectional ticket knowing they were going to get beat by Madison Heights or Highland on Tuesday night. Then they'd go out there and sell their ticket for the rest of the week, and they'd make money.
Big Ten basketball. I mean, Big Ten basketball is it's just crazy, isn't it?
It is. I was going to talk about the small colleges, but yeah, Big Ten's nuts.
I mean, Purdue lost a couple, 13-4. Northwestern playing their brains out.
Well, and I mentioned on our little preview,
11-5.
I said, is Northwestern, are they that good?
They're 20-7. They're going to be in the big dance.
They might be in the top. They might be a 3 or 4 seed.
Well, I don't
if they win the Big Ten, they could be a 2 seed.
And I don't think they'll win the Big Ten tournament, but they will be in the dance for the second time.
Oh, and I think they will be. They will be a good number. I think they'll be in the top 1. They'll be a top 3 or 4 maybe.
IU plays Illinois. Illinois plays really good against IU. Jackson Davis has a great game. IU pulls it out at the end. Well, I mean, Hood Schifrino again.
And see, I was busy doing radio, but IU plays at Michigan State tomorrow night. Northwestern's at Illinois Thursday, and at Maryland, who hasn't lost at home, on Sunday.
Exactly.
So Northwestern. Well, let's see. Let's talk about them a week from now and see how they're doing.
Well, let's talk about the IU Purdue game at Purdue now.
Round 2 is Saturday night.
Purdue. At Purdue. And okay, here's the question. Okay, and you say this, and I kind of believe you. They ain't rushing to court if Purdue wins, are they?
I don't think they will.
They ain't rushing to court. I don't think they are either.
I don't think they are. The Big 12, Kansas and Texas right now. Baylor's right behind them. Let me mention real quick, we're going to finish, but let's talk about want to talk about small colleges. Small colleges have their conference tournaments this week. Manchester College.
Hail to the black and gold, hail to victory.
That's
1978 grad.
Stop. Manchester's the number 1 seed, so they're going to host all the games. They've already playing. So Friday, people, you guys love Indiana basketball. Go watch the colleges. Go watch. It's the same kids 2 years later. Manchester plays Rose-Hulman on Friday at 7. The game before them is number 2 seed Anderson against Hanover. I mean, those are your traditional teams. I mean, when you talk about the HCAC, it's Manchester, Rose, Hanover, Anderson.
Well, it hasn't been Manchester lately. Manchester's played really well at 14.
They have. And you got Franklin College, you got Transylvania. Anyways, they got a Friday, Saturday final there.
All right.
Your Crossroads, you've seen them. Do you have to work any of these games?
Well, I could if I wanted to.
Depends if you're healthy or not. Wednesday
I don't
night.
Be in the car.
Wednesday night, Grace is number 1 seed. They play St. Francis from Fort Wayne. The 2 seed is Indiana Wesleyan. They play Taylor. The 3 seed is Huntington. They've got a home game with Mount Vernon's Nazarene. The 4 seed is Marion. Bethel's got to go to Indianapolis.
That's the game that I could go do, but I don't know if I want to ride with
get-
a hole in my stomach
you
all
get
the
it.
way to Indy.
That's right. And then the Chicagoland Conference is going on
That's
right
a great
now.
conference, too, by
This
the way.
is that's where it is. Number 1 seed is Olivet Nazarene, and that's in Bourbonnais, Bears country. Used to be
Bears
anyway.
country. Man,
Holy Cross from
Hey,
Yeah.
I shall
you
bow
go.
down to you.
There you go. Holy Cross is the 8 seed, so you got 1 versus 8. Olivet Nazarene, Holy Cross. This is tomorrow night. IUSB is the 4 seed. They've got a home game, so people here in South Bend, you can go over to IUSB on,
And that
on
IUSB
Tuesday
team
night.
is really good.
They play
Really
St.
good.
Francis from Chicago. The 2 seed is St. X, and they play Governor State. Those are both Chicago teams. The number 3 is Roosevelt, which is downtown Chicago, right by Grant Park, and they play IU in Northwest. And then they've got Thursday semifinals, Saturday finals. So there's plenty of small college basketball going around. We never even got to the high schools, and it's time to go home.
Well, no, and that's great. That's great because we will do the high school sectionals, the high schools on next Monday.
Yep, last week of the regular season
The
coming up.
sectionals will start on Tuesday. I'm doing Penn and Mishawaka tomorrow. I'm doing Mishawaka St. Joe Friday. And so tune in next week. I mean, get your questions into us. If you live in Denver, get on the slopes for goodness sakes.
And check my Instagram because I'm going to try to put some stuff on Instagram. You can look at there's a link tree on there. You can pick this up if you didn't watch it tonight, or for some reason if you want to listen to part of it again in your car or the office and see if we really said what we said. You can listen to us on the radio. How's
And if
that?
you really want to hear about Hill Street Blues, check that out. Listen, next week it's all boys sectional. So make sure you tune in, John. Thanks for spinning the dials. You're the best. You are
We did a
absolutely
good job.
the best.
You
You're
get
absolutely
healthy.
the best.
You get healthy.
I'm working on it, man, and I smell that great food from Bar Louie sitting right to our left. By the way, Bar Louie's outstanding. You're the absolute best. Stop in, get the burgers. There's 100 televisions downstairs.
I got a sign here that says we'll work for food.
There we go. Thanks, John.
And that will wrap up this edition of Coach's Corner. Again, if you did miss tonight's episode, you can check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and always here on broadcastsport.net. We'll see you next Thursday from Bar Louie's.
Next Monday.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. Monday. I get my days confused. I goofed it up.
We can add it.
I'll edit it.
I'm the friendly stranger in the black sedan. I want you to hop inside my car. I got pictures, plenty of a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle.